Rightio, we should be live soon, I think. Yep, there it is. Rightio, welcome ladies and gentlemen to round 16 of the PS4 Pacific Series, the Tier 2 Pacific Series here on Spec Esports. We are here at the Japanese Grand Prix at the Suzuka International Racing Course. A 5.8 kilometer, 18 turn circuit. It is definitely one of the most legendary racetracks in all of Formula One. It's a very notorious racetrack in this game, that is for certain. The Sector 1 is effectively a death trap, really. It is incredibly difficult, the first sector. It is full of auto-spin curbs, which aren't fun. And of course, you've got the final curve in that S's section, turn 7, known as the Dunlop curve. The inside curb there, if you touch it, even just a little bit, you will be spat off into a wall of some description. If you dare touch it at all, you will be spat off into a wall without mercy. You've also got the spoon curve around here as Dan the Racer proceeds to leave the pit lane. It's notorious for absolutely horrendous penalties. If you run wide, if you have all four wheels over the white line, you are guaranteed to get a track extending warning. So 3-second penalties are quite common around here. Of course, we got the famous Casio triangle, the chicane that ends off the lap. If you cut it at an awkward angle, you're going to get a 10-second, like the bus stop chicane at Spa. How many times have I said it? This game is broken in so many ways. Oh well, it's what we have to deal with until F1 2020. Hopefully that game will definitely meet our expectations and be a really, really fun game. The hype is certainly saying it is, but I'm keeping my expectations low because I built up the hype for F1 2019 and it turned out to be a flop. So we'll see how that goes. And before qualifying begins, I should talk about the championship. We did come from Russia, where unfortunately with one lap to go, my internet decided to go on a holiday. So I didn't catch the final lap, but Misty Griffin ended up winning that race, the second win of his career in this championship, coming off the win at Canada. He's currently leading the championship still on 189 points. The driver in P2 is Harass18 on 155. 34 points behind, so he's more than one race win away from Misty Griffin, which is a major, major hurdle he has to try and get over. Aussie Suspect is in P3 on 143 points, 12 points behind Harass. And then the last of the championship contenders, Kick Butt Kiwi, further 6 points behind Aussie Suspect on 137. So the gaps are quite big towards the back end of this championship, but there's still very much a championship fight. Plenty of rounds to go, plenty of races to go ahead, as we've already got some carnage here, people. We saw there drivers off left, right and centre. As I said, it's an incredibly difficult circuit in this game. You do have to be very, very, very careful around here. One mistake, and that's all it has to be, is one mistake. You'll end yourself, you'll find yourself in one of the walls lining this circuit. It's incredibly easy to do. As Dan the Racer is now coming through the chicane and over the notorious bump. Non-assist users absolutely hate that bit of the circuit. And Dan the Racer sets a 1 minute 30.561. That's the fastest time in the session. Obviously, and there we go. Perfect example of that inside curb. I mean, wow. Just touch it. That's all you have to do. And it will spit you off into the gravel trap or into the inside wall. Doesn't matter. It will do one of two things. It'll either spit you off into the gravel trap or spit you into the inside wall. Quite a difficult piece of tarmac this is. Now let's see. Who's on a flying lap? Beginning of a flying lap that can actually take us around. Ken Tenmar will be the driver we'll ride on board with. He's coming through turn 2. There's a driver off there. I think that's Gold Gloves. No, it's Installator. I should really turn back on the names over the top of the cars. I turn those off for races because sometimes the names on top of the car distract braking boards. They sort of disguise them a little bit. They tend to be a bit annoying. I'll turn them back on in a second. He's coming through the Degner curves, another famous part of this circuit. Now into the hairpin, turn 11. It's one of the few overtaking opportunities on this circuit. You've basically got the hairpin, the chicane, and turn 1. That's really about it on this circuit. He's coming up to Spoon. You have to be careful here. Running wide like that. If you get all 4 wheels over the white line, that's a track extending warning. Not there though, not at the exit of Spoon. You can really abuse that actually. Now coming up to probably its most famous corner on this circuit, 130R, completely flat out in these things. You don't even have to lift. Coming into the chicane, really abusing the track limits. 3rd gear. I tend to use 2nd to get that extra rotation. Over the bump, opens DRX and sets a 1 minute 31.052. Now I'm just noticing that everyone is qualifying on the soft tyres, so I'm wondering if it's raining for this race. I'll quickly check the Discord just to make sure. I'll see if I can't find somebody on a lap. Gold Gloves, typically quite the quick driver. We'll keep an eye on him coming through Spoon at the moment. Now let's see, where is the Discord? I want to see the chat. Yeah, okay, there's a reason why I'm laughing. Just before the race, I believe it was Honest Crook, the Haas driver. Currently, he hasn't set a lap time. He wanted heavy rain, and I made mention of the very first Japanese Grand Prix, and that was all the way back in 1976. And if you know your Formula One, and if you watch a movie or two, you might have heard of the very famous racing movie called Rush. And now that's all about the 1976 Formula One season, about a titanic battle between 2 very, very different racing drivers. You've got the charismatic Brit James Hunt in the McLaren, and you've got the cool, calm, and calculating Niki Lauda in the Ferrari. And after all the trials and tribulations that both drivers go through, particularly for Niki, because of that famous incident that he had at the Nürburgring, and of course that miraculous drive when he first came back to Formula One just 3 weeks later, I think. After nearly dying, he comes back 3 weeks later at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza to finish a magnificent championship. Went down to the wire at Japan. It was the very first Japanese Grand Prix, but it wasn't held here. It was held at the only other racetrack to host the Japanese Grand Prix, the world famous Fuji International Speedway, and it was bucketing down rain. To say it was just rain is a bit of an understatement. It was really typhoon-like conditions. And James Hunt, after leading for pretty much all of the race, I believe developed some sort of a puncture, and he had to pit in with about, I think it might have been 5 or so laps to go, and he was down in 5th. and he recovered to 3rd place, which secured him the driver's title by 1 singular point, the closest finish at the time for a championship, and is often regarded as the greatest ever Formula One championship to ever happen. Of course, a lot of modern Formula One followers would probably say 2012 was more climactic, was far more dramatic, and you could probably agree with that. But for older fans who have really looked at the sport over many, many decades and have seen that movie in particular, yeah, it's very hard to ignore that epic season of 76. And it just so happens, after making mention of that in the Discord prior to the race, it's going to be raining in the race, I do believe, which is why everyone is qualifying on the soft compound tyre. So, oops. My bad. But it does rain here a lot at Japan. It's quite a nice track to host Grand Prix at. It's a bit like Germany. It's just a place where it rains. Particularly here at Suzuka and at Fuji, and also at the Nürburgring. It just has this knack of producing wet weather, and Malaysia as well. I can't forget about Malaysia. They're great places because you don't quite know what the conditions are going to be like. And it's starting to rain already. It might not be raining for the race. They might just be qualifying on softs now, and just sort of wait out the rest of the session while it transfers to intermediate conditions. Or it might indeed be raining in the race, in which case I am very sorry for the people in the chat, in the Discord chat. That's my bad. But Arras, he's now coming through the chicane. He's one of the championship contenders. A 1 minute 28.7 to beat. He does a 1 minute 28.9. Puts in P2. Very nice P2, considering the worsening conditions. And there's Kickbutt Kiwi. He's coming out of Spoon onto the back straight. Well, back straight. It's difficult to say what is and isn't a back straight on a figure-of-8 circuit. Through 130R, oh, he's not even fully committing through 130R. The conditions that must be rapidly deteriorating. And I think he's actually going to come in as well, is he? Oh! Just that car's behaviour, that didn't look good, dearie me. And Missy Griffin, I believe, has jumped up to 4th place, and already drivers are beginning to retire from the session. So, an Honest Crook has not yet set a lap. Does he have a qualifying ban that I am not aware of? I'll just quickly double check that. But there we go. So, championship contenders, all of them are in the top 6. 7th on one. So it must be full wet conditions for the race. Okay, my bad. Not my fault though. Not my fault. Oh, I love the commentator's curse. Gotta love it. So, championship. Mr. Griffin, current championship leader, will be starting in P4. P2 in the championship, Harass is in a critical P2. He'll be starting on the front row, which is really, really important around Suzuka. It is a notoriously difficult circuit, not just to race around, but to overtake around as well. Particularly in wet conditions, it's going to be next to impossible. So, I think whoever gets a better start out of the front two will probably ultimately win this race, so long as they don't make any other mistakes. I have a feeling something like that is going to happen. Aussie Suspect, P3 in the championship, will be starting P6. It's not a bad place to be, but he has to try and negotiate the cars around him. Try and not crash at lap 1. And Kickbutt Kiwi, 4th in the championship, will be starting P3 on the 2nd row. Other drivers to mention, Lunacy, that's an amazing placement there for him. Ever since his win at Italy, he's been getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And he's currently 5th place, and I don't think he'll budge from that position. Proximity Ross That's actually Reale. He's changed his name. He'll be starting from P7, Suscus from P8, Installator P9, and Ken Tenma will start P10. There we go. And Honest Crook still has not set a lap time. Must be serving a quali ban that I'm not aware of. Now, there's no real reason to stay in this qualifying session. You're not going to improve your lap time. You might be able to get a bit of practice in for intermediate conditions. Other than that, there's really no point continuing in this session. But yeah, dearie me. Just mentioned 1976 Japanese Grand Prix and this happens. Oops. Dearie me. So, 3.5 minutes left. Oh, and also the Constructors' Championship, I almost forgot. It's not quite as interesting as the Drivers' Championship, but it's a championship nonetheless. It's currently being led by Mercedes, who main drivers are Harass and Blocky Rex, but Blocky isn't here to see a very quick driver, as he proved in Singapore. Then it's a tie for second between Ferrari and McLaren. And Mercedes on 230 points. Ferrari and McLaren on 215 equals second. And Renault in P4 on 198. And they're basically the teams fighting out for the Constructors' Championship. There's about a 40-point gap between 4th to 5th. So it's pretty much these teams fighting out for the Constructors' Championship. So we've got a 4-way fight for the drivers and a 4-way fight for the constructors. So we have to try and keep a keen eye on quite a number of drivers for both championships. Lots of drivers retiring from the session now, but it seems a couple of drivers will be going out to just set a lap time on the intermediate tyre. No real need to, it's just pretty much a practice lap. Tell you what, we'll probably ride on board with Kickbutt Kiwi if he is indeed going to try and set a lap time. We'll just pay attention to the sector differences. Oh. Artie's had a moment. Is this a sign of things to come here at Suzuka? This is just intermediate conditions on a basically empty circuit, and he's already lost it into the outside wall. Outside wall. At the S's. Oh boy, if it's going to be full wet, I hate to think what it's going to be like. But in this commentary box in my warm living room, I get to sit back and enjoy all this content that's about to happen. No, I hope everyone gets through relatively okay. I don't like seeing drivers crash out. I love seeing drivers just keep going and never giving up. That's what I like to see. And some good racing as well. The Kitbar Kiwi, let's actually see the difference, shall we, between lap time, between a dry and intermediate flying lap in qualifying. So he's coming through the S's now. Oh, you can hear the car, and you can see the car, you can see the wheel, you can see the throttle input. The car is incredibly twitchy. It's, oh my word. Now he's coming through Dunlop curve. It's the most notorious curve out of the lot. You do not want to touch that inside curve. You want to avoid it at all costs. Through the Degner curves. Very nicely done. A bit of understeer in the second curve, but he's done well. This is going to be bloody hectic. Oh, as Kickbutt Kiwi loses it at turn 10. I was just looking at the chat because I was thinking Kiwi surely wasn't going to lose it somewhere here. It's a fairly nice section, but no, crashes into the outside wall, coming into the hairpin, dearie me. But that's the end of qualifying. I'm surprised that these guys are still on a lap. You might as well retire from the session, fellas. There is absolutely no point in doing this. Dearie me. So, we've got wet conditions, a full grid, A track that is notoriously difficult to drive on in this game and notoriously difficult to overtake in this game. Plus the wet conditions. This is going to be a very long race for these drivers, but hopefully we will see some entertaining stuff and some good driving as well from these guys. I think Kiwi will just retire from the session. There we go. I think Artie will just be able to retire on circuit. He's not going to damage anyone. When Artie retires, or when he comes back into the pit lane, that will end qualifying and the race will finally begin. Oh boy. This is going to be quite an interesting race. He'll actually come across the line. That's probably a better thing to do, rather than just retire in the pit lane. But there we go. Qualifying finally done. And we have AU Wingman on pole position by 2.5 of a second to harass 18. Kickbutt Kiwi will start in P3, Misty Griffin P4, Lunacy P5, Aussie Suspects P6, Proximity Ross, aka Achi Reale, P7, Suscus P8, Installator P9, Contema P10, Artie Chengas P11, Gold Gloves P12, 7 P13, Dan the Racer P14, Candy Cane P15, Reedy P16, El Tonki P70, Tall Cogwheel P18, Camos P90, and Honest Crook rounding out the grid in 20th. He must have had a qualifying ban that I haven't picked up on. That might be the reason why he was begging for wet weather. So here we are at 1976 Japan. This is heavy rain. This is genuinely heavy rain. Righto. Oh boy. Now, if I was one of these drivers, I would actually put a little bit of extra fuel in, because I tend to enjoy a slightly heavier car in wet conditions. It just feels a lot more stable. As you can see the cars bouncing around in the bottom right of screen. I have never ever seen that before. Oh, I am completely and utterly entranced by that. Just cars just bouncing around, excited. That McLaren in particular is very, very excited for this race. I believe that's who is that? Kickbutt Kiwi? It is too. So, formation lap here at Suzuka. Everyone will be starting on the wet compound of tyre. If you don't, you are a madman and you will definitely cause a crash at turn 1. As already Wingman on the formation lap, perfectly demonstrating the difficult conditions that are on offer here tonight, understeering massively at turn 2, almost off the circuit in fact. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, I just tend to enjoy a slightly heavier car in wet conditions. It's just nice and stable. But it's all up to the drivers, what they feel comfortable with doing. And they definitely need to try and find something that they're comfortable with. These conditions are not ideal in any shape or form. And on this notorious circuit, this is going to be not 27 laps, but how would I put it? It's more like 1 hour of pure, untamed nightmare for these drivers. That's exactly what it's going to be. Sliding around everywhere, desperately trying not to crash into each other. Oh my word. See there. And rest in peace for all those non-assist users. I know El Tonki is one of them. Installator and Fold Me, he's another. Righto. Mr. Cruz. Mr. Cruz believes Aussie Suspect will win. Kickbutt Kiwi second and harass plenty of support for the other drivers in chat as well. It's great to see. I'm a gambling man. I think... Let's see. I have a feeling Mr. Griffin will win this one with Harass in P2. And as a gambling man, I would put Servernite P3. How's that sound? I have a feeling. So there we go. Misty, Harass and Server. I have a feeling. Because Harass has got horrendous luck. He has not won a single race. It's amazing that he's still in this championship fight. He's second in the championship, in fact. That's how quick he has been. Quick and consistent, but he has not pulled off a race win. Can he finally do it tonight? Here at a soaking wet Suzuka. We'll have to wait and see. We'll just stay here for a second until the lights come up. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 5 red lights. And the nightmare begins here at Suzuka. It's lights out and away we go. And Harass has gotten an awesome start. No, correction. AU Wingman has gotten a horrible start off the line. He drops all the way down to 4th place. Coming into the S's. Oh, we have end plate damage. Oh, do we have a virtual? No. Okay. Because it's just... Oh my word. Oh my word. Oh, it's an absolute car park through here, and someone's off. It's AU Wingman, the pole sitter. He's off in the first sector. He'll come back onto the circuit in last place and with wing damage as well. Back up to the leaders. So Harass leading, Kickbutt Kiwi in second, Mystic Griffin, Mystic Consistency in P3, but Lunacy down the inside into turn 10, around the outside into turn 11, the hairpin. You can't really make a move there. He tries desperately, but he will hang on to P4. Aussie Suspect in P5. Proximity Ross in P6. Servernite, an awesome start. I thought he might have one. He's up, dearie me, where is he up from? From 13th all the way up to 7th. That is an awesome start for the reserve driver. Artie Chengas, P8, Installator, P9, and Gold Gloves rounding out the point scoring positions as Lunacy. Oh, here we go. No, you can't make a move here. Oh, they're going to make this stick. Lunacy around the outside at 130R in wet conditions. He moves himself up into P3. I mean, that was great teamwork between the two drivers. That could have been horrible. But Misty Griffin just giving him the space, understanding that this is going to be a very, very long race. Just gave him the space and let him on by. Lunacy into P3. Wingman a 3 second rather. Multiple warnings, dearie me. That is a horrible, horrible start for the pole setter. Suskas moving himself up into P10. Installator must have had a moment at turn 2 that the camera didn't quite pick up. Hopefully that's a feature in F1 2020 is replays. I really want that to be a thing. Oh, and contact between Carlos and Dan the Racer. Oh, and it's carnage. It is, oh my goodness me. 3 cars off the circuit. El Tonki, Reedy and Dan the Racer. All of them off. Contact leading into turn 7. Leading into the Dunlop curve. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. But all 20 drivers are still in this race, which is fantastic to see. And what's happened to Lunacy? He's got end plate damage, but he's fallen all the way down to 6th place. What has happened to the Williams driver? Was there contact between him and Misty Griffin? Let's have a look at Misty. Car looks relatively okay. Front wing looks complete. Through 130R. Oh, this will be testing for Lun. Oh my goodness me! That is one almighty train of cars. That Lunacy is currently leading. He'll have to go into the pits to get that front wing change. He stays out. Okay. Now, oh, And Artie's actually going to look for a move here. Oh, and he's got end plate damage as well, but he's going to look down the inside of the Alfa Romeo driver into turn 1. Oh, work together. Oh, and is that contact? It is. Oh, it's a desync between these two. Oh, dear. A desync between these two drivers. Dearie me. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh my goodness. Oh, in contact between Ross and Gold Gloves coming through the Dunlop curve. And that must be an interesting sight from that Alfa Romeo, from that racing point rather, seeing the Alfa Romeo drive on top of the Haas. Dearie me. Alright. Oh my god. Oh, okay. So Gold Gloves driving through Suskas. Okay. Might be a desync on my part then. No, it can't be. Oh, and out wide goes Suskas and gets a 3-second time penalty. Oh, it must be very interesting. Someone is desynced, but I'm not completely sure who. Oh, and into the wall goes Candy Cane. Coming out of Spoon. Dearie me. Oh, there's so much carnage going on back there. I need to look towards the front. So, Harass is currently leading, but Kickbutt Kiwi has just set the fastest lap of this race so far. He's trying to hunt down the Silver Arrows. And we got a battle here as well between Aussie Suspect and Servanite. Servanite, the Singapore Grand Prix winner. The 9th different winner in this championship. Something going on between some of these guys at Suscast. Hopefully it's just me, but... Oof. Yeah, I don't know. Very odd between those two. Gotta love these Codemaster games. Nothing short of buggy. So, oh, Sector 1, what's happened? It appears nothing has happened. Candy Cane has come into the pits to get his front wing changed. El Tonki did the same after making contact with the driver, with the car pile up at turn 6 that we saw. He's currently down in 19th place. But these drivers are still going. They're not giving up. Kind of surprised not to see a safety car as of yet. But I'm sure we'll see at least one during this race. But Harass and Kickbutt Kiwi are doing a superb job pulling away from the pack. But Misty Griffin, he's just hanging in there. 3 seconds separate him to Kickbutt Kiwi. It will be a massive bonus if he finishes in front of all 3 of his championship rivals. Currently he's only in front of 1. Oh, something's happened in Sector 2. That's AU Wingman, I think. He's had a moment. But now, Lunacy, he's incredibly vulnerable. He's got Gold Gloves behind who just set the fastest lap of 47.957. Coming into turn 2, and that's massive amount of understeer for Lunacy in the mid corner. Doesn't have any sort of aero. Ooh. Spam it down. Oh, dearie me. Completely destroyed front wing for AU Wingman. Completely and utterly destroyed. From pole position. This has happened. Dearie me. And Gold Gloves is making a move. And so does Suskas around the outside of the first Stegner. He moves himself up into P7. Gold Gloves into P6. Keep saying golden. It's not golden, just gold. Right, so either these two can't see each other, or one of these drivers, for me, is desynced. But typically, when a desync happens, it will look like Installator from Russia, from a Spec. It would sort of go into AI mode and would just sort of drive randomly around the circuit. Now coming into the Casio triangle, the chicane. Dearie me, that is absolutely fascinating to watch. Now they're ghosting. Very strange stuff here. That is very strange. And there's Wingman coming out of the pits, just stopping on track just to make sure he doesn't create any sort of accident. Oh, that is a very odd looking thing, I have to say. The Misty Griffin, he's actually catching up to the back of the McLaren. The gap that when we last checked was about 3 seconds. It's now 1.8. So he is gaining. Oh, as Candy Cane has had a moment at Spoon at turn 13. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get a closer look at it. We can get a closer look at that. What on earth, Codemasters? That is absolutely ridiculous. Deary me. And also, another thing to note is that you don't actually have to make a pit stop. You can do a nose stop in these conditions. A lot of drivers do forget that sometimes, that you don't actually need to make a pit stop. You can just do a nose stop. You can start and finish on the wet compound tyre. So long as the race is fully wet all the way through, of course. When it starts to become intermediate conditions, you may want to switch onto an intermediate tyre because the wet tyre will just burn away. But we're now back under green flag racing here at Suzuka. I think Kickbutt Kiwi has had a superb restart from that virtual safety car. He's clawed onto the back of Harass. Might just have to ride on board with him just for a lap, just to really understand the conditions at the moment here at Suzuka. He's coming through turn 1, you can see him, he's just being careful. Revs the car out a bit. Third gear through turn 2. Now this is a very difficult part in these conditions. You want to avoid those inside curves. But if you just take the corner slightly wrong, like Harass did there, you are very easily punished. Through turn 7, that back end of the Mercedes is absolutely everywhere at the moment, as the desynced Suscuss and Gold Gloves continue to battle. Through the second Degner curve, Gold Gloves a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Into the hairpin, turn 11. And Kickbutt Kiwi is right behind the Mercedes gearbox. Through 200R. Sector 1 and 2 yellow flag. Something's happened to Camos. Oh, he's had a crash at the first Degner curve. That is a very awkward place to crash, I have to say. I haven't seen a car end up there ever. To my knowledge. First time for everything, I guess. But it's not looking good for the Ferraris. 17th and 19th at the moment. Still a long race to go, though. We're not even halfway done yet. Through the chicane. See there, I think Harass actually gained on that lap as well on Kickbutt Kiwi. These two just sort of hovering around a 7/10 of a second gap between the two. Misty Griffin has fallen away from the leading duo. He's now 2.5 seconds behind. Aussie Suspect 1.3 behind Misty. Then we got these two. 3 rather. We got Servanite, Suscuss, Gold and Gold Gloves, but these two are desynced. As Proximity, Ross has left the session. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh wait, they ghost, don't they? Thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that. Camos a 3-second time penalty. Here comes Servanite through the first Degner curve into the second. Underneath the bridge. Oh, 10-second time penalty for... 10-second time penalty for Servanite for exceeding track limits. Oh, and contact as well between Gold Gloves and Servanite. Deary me. I was too busy looking at the chat. I didn't quite see what happened with Gold Gloves. With Servanite rather. I'll just check the stream. My own instant replay. Just to properly see what happened. Let's see, lap 8 of 27. Yep, that's the right lap. Let's see, just a little while ago. Oh, bit too far. What on earth happened to 7-8? So he goes underneath the bridge into turn 10. Oh, and you're kidding. He got a 10-second time penalty for that. The back end stepped out at turn 10, runs onto the grass. He somehow recovers. That is an awesome recovery from Servanite. And a 10-second time penalty. Are you joking? Oh, Codemasters. Oh, Codemasters. Like, he'll get that removed, but the fact that that was given to him in the first place is incredible. How does a game think that he's gaining an advantage out of that? That is incredible. Yeah, you're going to have to get an invite from one of the drivers. I can't send an invite as a spectator because Codemasters are fucking stupid. So yeah, you're going to have to get an invite from probably Ken or someone. Anyone in the lobby that you're friends with, you need an invite from them. Because yeah, I can't give you one. While all of that shenanigans was going on, we've got a battle here. We've got a battle for P2, Kickbutt Kiwi and Misty Griffin. And we got one for P4 as well. As Suspect goes wide coming into the chicane. But he parks the car in the middle of the road. The Racing Point has nowhere to go, but the car gets better traction. But still he has nowhere to go. Almost on the grass as well for the Racing Point. Ken Tema gets a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. That must have been at the chicane. Oh, something's happened to him actually. He spun. He'll come back out safely. Here comes Dan the Racer. No, he does really, really well there. And in fact, they might have a little joust here for 12th place. Down the inside goes the Williams. Oh, dearie me. And he does indeed get the position. Moves himself into P12. So, Aussie Suspect has now lost out to Gold Gloves for 4th place. He's now got the Haas of Suscus behind, with Servanite not too far behind that. Sector 1 yellow flags, that's AU Wingman. It is. That's the Dunlop curve. How many times have I seen this? And I've not just seen it as well, I've played victim to the circuit's incredible auto spin curbs in the first sector. Harass really starting to pull away. Not going to say anything about it, he's just pulling away. Gold Gloves. Now only 3/10 behind the Renault of Misty Griffin. He's on a charge, this man. Over the hump. Coming around the final corner. Now he'll get the slipstream and he sets the fastest lap as well. As Servanite comes into the pits, pulls the car up well. Suscus moves on by Aussie Suspect. I'm not quite sure where Suscus is actually supposed to be. Like, is he supposed to be 5th or is he supposed to be somewhere else? I don't know. I'll take it for what it is though. I think he's in 5th place. Gold gloves. Oh, big understeer at turn 7. How does he recover that? That should have went into the gravel trap, but somehow he saved it. And he hasn't lost too much time either as... Oh, dearie me, Suscus goes off at the first Egner as Wingman retires in the pit lane. Poor man. Starting on pole position. Just had a moment in the first sector, which ultimately sent him all the way down to 20th. But also had a fairly average start, it seemed, in comparison to everyone else. I'm not sure what assists Wingman actually uses. Might have to have a look. Or he might have gambled on a dry setup to try and maximise his qualifying position. Have a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Kickbutt Kiwi, Misty Griffin, Gold Glove, Suscus, Aussie Suspect. This lineup of 5 cars all battling for second place coming into the chicane. The sea of colour in these typhoon-like conditions. And the typical Codemaster bugs. Camos has left the session. Deary me. So, where does Misty Griffin have an opportunity to overtake? It seems he's... I'll just watch a bit more intently, just so that I'm not talking too early. As... there we go. Proximity Ross has joined back. Oh, the back end steps out for the Renault. I was going to say, that car looks pretty good. Oh, hello. I saw that rear view mirror. It just turned pink. Filled up with gold gloves on that left-hand side mirror. Yeah, that Renault seemed pretty good through the first sector. Oh, and Kickbutt Kiwi does exactly the same thing that Servanite did, except he kept 2 wheels on the circuit. And Gold Gloves made an overtake for 3rd place as well. But, yeah. Gotta love these Codemaster games. So freaking buggy. Oh, dearie me. Oh, here we go. Golden Gloves might be actually looking for... Wow! He's on fire at the moment, this Racing Point. Side by side, Gold Gloves pulls out. Does that open the door up for Misty Griffin? Not quite. Ah, the desync is real. Dearie me. Look at these fellas battling it out. Gold Gloves will look to the outside into turn 1. Not in these conditions, son. That's a death sentence if you commit to that. Smartly, quite wisely, he pulls out through the first sector. That Racing Point looks really racy at the moment. It looks hooked up. It looks ready to go. But Kickbutt Kiwi's doing exactly what he needs to do. Just park the car on the racing line. The track isn't particularly wide in comparison to some of the other circuits on the calendar. Through the first Degner, big understeer, onto the gravel trap, he saves it. And here comes Misty Griffin. He did save it, but he lost a little bit of time to the cars behind. Coming into the hairpin. First gear. Short shifts to second. Oh my goodness me, you can see that left-hand side mirror at that point. Where you see the Toro Rosso mount the Haas at the hairpin. Oh, dearie me. Through the spoon curve. Now, Kickbutt Kiwi hasn't gotten a good run here. Gold Gloves gets superb traction. But Kickbutt Kiwi, he's lit it up. He's put it into hot lap mode and is pulling away from the Racing Point into 130R. Big lift. Oh, and contact as well. Was that damage? I don't think so. I didn't see anything fly off. Doesn't look like it. Coming through the final corner again. Oh! What on earth was that? Oh my goodness me, what on earth was that? And Misty Griffin! What happened? What? Kiwi, suspect into the pits. Same with Artie. He's getting a front wing replacement. But what on earth happened to Gold Gloves and Misty Griffin? I'm gonna have to check the stream because I'm not completely sure. What on earth? I mean, the camera didn't really show it that well. I'm sure we'll get some onboard footage of that after the race. Here we go, this is a moment. Oh! He completely drove into the pit entry wall. And Misty Griffin was just an innocent bystander. Right, that's what happened. So, Gold Gloves was following Kickbutt Kiwi. Kiwi was going into the pits. And Gold Gloves, he didn't want to go into the pits. He was just following the car in front. And he saw the car dive in. He tried to get out of the way of the tyre barrier, but just ploughed into it. And Misty Griffin was just an innocent bystander in that. And in comes Installator as well. And Aussie Suspect gets a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Oh my goodness me, it's all happening. Now, Harass has come out in second place, but Suscast can theoretically go to the end of this race. If he is indeed in first. I'm not completely sure. We're going to have to get the official times from the drivers at the end of the race. Oh my goodness me, I have never seen that before. But I think that's what happened. Just Gold Gloves was following Kiwi. Kiwi was committed to go into the pit lane. And as soon as he went in, Gold Gloves realised that he was actually trying to go into the pits, not taking the apex for turn 18. And completely face planted into the tyre barrier. And Misty Griffin just had nowhere to go. He was taking the apex for turn 18. And completely shunted into the back of Gold Gloves. I'm surprised that didn't retire either car, to be completely honest. That should have retired both cars, but... oh well. I mean, you can lightly touch a tyre barrier, and that will completely and utterly destroy the car. Or you can run into a tyre barrier head on at speed, have a car run up the back of you at speed, and get away with a broken front wing. Well done, Codemasters. Anyway, but if I'm seeing the correct thing, Suscast is leading this race and can theoretically win, because he doesn't need to do a pit stop. It's that simple. He doesn't need to. He can go to the end of this race without stopping. He doesn't need to stop. Neither did Harass, but Harass stopped. Yeah. This is a very interesting Grand Prix. Dearie me. Drama, chaos, and some good racing as well. We've seen some really good racing. Speaking of which, we're about to see some more now. Sevenite has found his way into P3. Kickbutt Kiwi is in behind in P4. I'll find the charger cord. There it is. There we go. So this will be the battle for the final podium position, I think. Now, Harass can hunt down Suscast, but what's that? effectively a second and a bit a lap he needs to find on the Haas driver. I don't think he's going to find that. You can see both drivers using a fair amount of ERS to try and stay ahead of each other. Servanite desperately trying to make sure that he breaks away from the McLaren. What else is going on? We've got a battle for P8 between Gold Gloves and Lunacy. Here we go. Out of 130R into the Casio Triangle. Oh, it's not really the Casio Triangle in this game, as there's no Casio branding, but that is what it's called. Through turn 18. Now, he's got the toe. Oh, that's massive overspeed. He looks to the inside into turn 1. Does he commit to the move? He does. Lunacy gives him the space. Very respectful between the two. Oh, Lunacy tries to get a good switchback, but he can't quite pull it off. Hangs on to 8th place. Oh, but Gold Gloves understeered big time. Luckily, there was a bit of curb out there. If that was grass, he would have definitely spun round. Oh, wait. Did Gold Gloves make a mistake? He must have. Just when I looked away. So Gold Gloves falls to P8. Lunacy recovers his P7. Let the battle commence once more as Gold Gloves sends it down the inside. Lunacy gives him the space. Into 200R. Lunacy will have the inside line and will hold on to the position. Now coming into Spoon. Lunacy goes defensive. He is weaving everywhere actually. Coming into the first Spoon curve. Oh, and the back end is everywhere on that Williams, and the back end is completely gone. Coming into the second Spoon curve, turn 14. Here we go. Side-by-side action down the pit straight. Kiwi and Suspect are now starting to fight for P4. What was formerly a fight for P3, Servanite, he's now started to pull away just a smidgen away from Aussie Suspect, but he hasn't completely pulled away. Only a second separate third place. Let's see here. Lunacy now officially being overtaken by Gold Gloves. Gold Gloves are starting to pull away. Sector 3 yellow flags. Oh! Oh! Safety car! We have a safety car! Hello! So Tall Cogwheel has had a moment at the final, just before the chicane. Deary me. He's now out of the race from P16. What does Susgus do? Now, I'm not sure if he is actually leading. I'm not completely certain. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to pit, but he can. It's right on board. It just depends whether or not... Oh, Artie Chen gets speeding under under safety car, actually. He gets a drive-through, so he does come in. Does he have a big enough gap to stay in front of Harass? I wonder. I don't think he does. Into the pits. Oh, and he's got front wing damage. There we go. And out he goes. So he'll come out at P3, P4, P5 he'll come out. So that little debacle with Suscas may finally be over. I think he might have blown the wing, perhaps, coming into the pits. Fresh wet tyres. The freshest grooves out of anyone. The bridge, right. That's where it is. No one else is pitted. Oh! Kick butt Kiwi! 'Kiwi! 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 ' Is that damage? No, there's no damage, but Kickbutt Kiwi completely stopped at the apex of turn 6. Very lucky that there wasn't any damage between these two. I wonder if there was a delta glitch for Kiwi just then. It does happen. So the field will be neutralized, and we'll probably have a 5-lap sprint to the end. Probably. Lap 22, coming on to lap 23. No, we'll restart on lap 22, so we'll have 6 laps to go. I feel like we're going to restart on lap 22. So, Harass leads. It's currently a Mercedes 1-2 with Kickbutt Kiwi in 3rd. Aussie Suspect is in 4th. This is critical towards the Drivers' Championship. All 3 drivers that are in 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the championship are currently in front of the championship leader in the form of Misty Griffin. This may prove to be the turning point in the championship for some of the drivers hunting down the Renault of Misty Griffin. Of course, after this race, there will be 4 races to go as Kickbutt Kiwi actually comes into the pits. So we can scratch that. Why is he coming in? Wing change, must be. No. Intermediate tyres. Is this an inspired strategy from McLaren? Or has Kickbutt Kiwi shot himself in the foot? I have a feeling it's the latter. It does not look like intermediate conditions at all. It looks wet. But it depends on what the game says is wet or intermediate. Then we got this thing again. The desync. Don't know who's in 3rd, don't know who's in 4th. Okay. But yeah, it just doesn't look like intermediate conditions yet. I could be wrong. Some drivers are actually switching onto the inters. It might be changing to intermediate. Does look a little bit lighter, but not by a great deal. It still looks wet. Is this a gambling strategy from Kickbutt Kiwi? Well, the lap times will ultimately tell the conditions on circuit. I can't quite tell from the commentary booth. It's up to the game to decide when it becomes intermediate conditions. And that's often pretty difficult to tell. Gold gloves, a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. I'm sure plenty of these will get removed. But at the moment, driver of the day has to be Servanite. 11 positions, that is absolutely awesome. I mean, he will fall down the leaderboard because of his 10-second time penalty, but I'm sure that will get removed. So I think he might be hanging on to this second. Now, speaking of which, while we're under safety car, I better have a look at the penalties. So Harass has not even gotten a warning. That is absolutely awesome. Neither has Servanite, only the 10 seconds, and I'm sure he'll get that removed. Aussie Suspect also has 10 seconds, likely to be removed. Lunacy has 5 seconds. Where do you get the 5 seconds from, I wonder? From the looks of things, that 1 minute, that 2:11.5, he must have got it for speeding. Did he? Incidents. 5 seconds for Suscas, Ardi, Installator. Come on, Lunacy, where are you? It was lap 11, wasn't it? Corner cutting, okay. But he's probably already served that after pitting. So he has none. But again, I don't think he'll hang on to his position. with Server and Aussie Suspect. I don't know about Aussie. We'll have to wait and see what his is actually for. Hang on. Just before we go back onto green flag, what lap was it? Lap 14, he got it. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Exceeding track limits, so most likely that will get removed. And as I predicted, we will most likely be restarting this race at lap 27. Oh, the desync is real. So, Harass has got none, Servanite has got 10, Aussie Suspect has got 10, Suscuss, what does Suscuss have? Oh, you've got a lot. You've got 9. Safety car is now in this lap. So it's up to Harass to control the field. Slow down, mate. Slow down. Slow down. You have to wait until the safety car goes into the pits. Oh no. Here we go. Oh, Harass, that is not a very good restart, I have to say. Adi Chen gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Misty Griffin moves himself into 5th place around the outside of Lunacy into turn 1. He's now hunting down his 2 championship rivals, Aussie Suspect and Harass 18. Harass, that is not a very good restart. That is not a very good restart. He really needed to back up the field then. Oh, these two. They cannot stop just mounting each other. As Ken has a moment in the first sector on the intermediate tyre. I forgot about that. How are the inters going? Doesn't look particularly amazing. He's not gaining on Dan the Racer. He's pulled away from Installator, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Oh, dearie me, Codemasters. Fix your shit already. It's absolutely amazing. The thing is, I will not properly know who's in 3rd place by the end of this. Will it be Suscuss? Will it be Aussie? Well, actually, oh. Yeah, no, Suscuss got 9, Aussie's got 10. So if these two keep fighting as they are, then most likely Aussie will hang on to P4. I think Suscuss will get P3 rather. Oh wait, no, it'll be Lunacy that will get P3. He's got no penalties at the moment. As Suscuss overtakes Servanite. Okay. Oh, dearie me. It'd be so much nicer if there wasn't a desynced car. So much nicer. Oh well. So, Servanite loses a position to Suscuss according to me. I don't know where Suscuss properly is on circuit. But on the freshest wet compound tyre... Oh, it's Servanite actually loses it at turn 9 and Suspect finds a way through. He moves himself onto the podium. For now, penalties will ultimately play a part in this. Let's see. Look at this train. You can see it on the mini-map. So close together. 3-second penalty for Honest Crook. It's all happening at the moment. Kickback Kiwi hasn't fallen away. Intermediate tyre is doing well enough to keep up. But that's about it. And what's happened to Mystic? Mystic Griffin has fallen all the way down to 10th. What on earth? Oh, in contact between him and Gold Gloves. It's not the first time this race that there's been contact between those two. What have I missed? Dearie me. But he's fallen all the way down to 10th. That's 1 point. Oh, and he's gone deep into the chicane as well. And he completely cuts the chicane. He might have to give up that position, I think. Completely cutting the chicane. He's going to try and hang on to it, it seems. But here we go, Honest Crook to the inside. Oh, and he pushes him out wide. Deary me. Honest Crook not happy that Misty cut the chicane and held on to position, so he returned served. Pushed him out wide at turn 1 and he moves himself into 10th place. Nice recovery from last on the grid. But now we've got 3 and a bit laps to go. Harass is still leading. Only just by 1.2 seconds apparently on my screen to Suskas. Ultimately penalties will decide a lot of these drivers' fates. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of reports to shake up the order. So what we'll see at the end of this stream will not be the official results. They will shake up massively. Here we go. Got this pretty neat battle for the final point scoring position. Misty Griffin and Honest Crook. Honest Crook grass actually. Luckily he's still got relative control over the car. Starting to fall away from the back of the Renault. Now, let's see. Go back up to the leader, shall we? So the current leader is Harass, and I think he will end up winning this race because of penalties, even if Suskas and Aussie get past. Or maybe not Aussie, if he can get that penalty removed. As Suskas goes very, very deep into turn 1. But he looks quick. El Tonki has been disqualified from the session. Wow. Too many time penalties. Disqualified. There we go. Harass is doing well to hold on to this race lead at the moment. I'm not sure if he can see Suskas through the second Degner. Underneath the bridge. Lifting off into turn 10. Can't carry it flat. Misty Griffin gets a 3-second time penalty. And Kiwi is starting to charge. And Dan the Racer sends it down the inside. A very nice move. And he gets the job done. And well negotiated with Kickbutt Kiwi as well. Dan the Racer. The big send down the inside. He wants this place. He wants P6. And he's going to fight for it. Desperately try and fight for it. Seems like intermediate tyres are now starting to switch on as well with 2 laps to go. So expect the intermediate runners to make a late charge. So keep an eye on Kickbutt Kiwi and Gold Gloves. Speaking of which, Gold Gloves has made a move on the McLaren at the chicane. He moves himself into P7, over the bump into the final corner. And now Dan the Racer is actually lining up his teammate, it seems. Multi-21 Dan, Multi-21 Lunacy will be saying. Oh, but Lunacy has a little bit of a moment through turn 2. Opens up the opportunity for his teammate to get a run through the Gloves. Has got great traction. Seems the intermediate tyre is indeed the better one, even though it still looks like typhoon-like conditions. Apparently the Inters is the better tyre. Over the curve! How did that car not spin? Deary me. Through the Dunlop curve, into the Degner curves. Late on the brakes as Gold Gloves. Contact with the Williams in front. Oh, deary me. It's all happening at once here, people. Let's not forget we've got Kiwi in behind as well. He might have to look down the inside at the hairpin. He returns serve on Golden Gloves after making a move at the chicane, but he can't quite make the move stick. Gold Gloves will hold on to 7th place for now. What great, great racing we have here today. I thought, oh, and down the inside, is it a double overtake? That is an inspired move from Kickbutt Kiwi. There was literally only a car width of space between the grass and Gold Gloves, and somehow he made it stick. He goes defensive into the chicane. Second gear, he pushes Gold Gloves out onto the grass. And the final lap has begun, and it's currently being led by R16. But I can't take my eyes off this battle. Look, oh, I wish he kept with that aerial shot. That was an awesome aerial shot looking down the pit straight. Oh well. Reedy, a 10-second time penalty, exceeding track limits. I'm sure he'll get that removed. But here we go, the final lap, the final 5.8 kilometers of this Japanese Grand Prix. Through the S's. Oh, and Lunacy made a mistake. Just a small one. Kind of missing the apex, but he recovers on corner exit. That Williams sideways through turn 7. And Dan the racer is going to have a look down the inside. Oh, and off the road. Oh, here we go. Oh, in contact between racer and Gold Gloves. Oh, and into the wall. I don't believe it. Did Dan the racer just drive Gold Gloves into the wall? Or did the back end step out on that Williams? He tried to control the car and Gold Gloves was just an innocent bystander. I hope it's the latter. I really do hope that was just a small mistake from Dan the racer. But it seems as Suskas has made some sort of mistake, I do believe. I can't believe it, ladies and gentlemen. Harass will come home in first place. We have a 10th different winner in this Tier 2 Pacific Series on Spec Esports. Harass wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Now who's in second? I do not know. Is it Lunacy? Is it Lunacy? Is it Kickback Kiwi? No, actually. They weren't close enough. Wow. Okay. So Aussie Suspect will finish in P2 with Suskas in P3. So Suskas must have had about 12 seconds worth of penalties in the end. Kickbutt Kiwi will finish in P8 in front of Misty Griffin. Griffin in P9. So Aussie Suspect will definitely hang on to that second place, regardless if he gets the 10 seconds removed or not. But well done, Harass 18. About time. About time. 10 different winners in this championship. 2012, eat your heart out. This is where it's at. Incredible. After that race, this Japanese Grand Prix, in those conditions, Harass drove superbly. I had a feeling he was going to be on the podium, but his rotten luck swayed me away from him winning this race, but he has proved me otherwise. For the first time in this season, he will win a Grand Prix and will close the gap massively to Misty Griffin. This championship has taken a complete turn for the better, in my opinion. Harass wins this race and will score 25 points as well, if I'm not mistaken. Aussie Suspect, he'll score 18 points. Suskas P3, Dan the Racer P4, 78 P5, Installator P6, Lunacy P7, Kickbutt Kiwi, that's 4 points if I'm not mistaken, and Misty Griffin, that will be 2 points. So, time for a little bit of quick math while I'm here. So, Misty Griffin, oh wait, who got fastest lap? Who got fastest lap? It looks like Misty Griffin got it. No. A 45.9. 45.9. No one gets it. Gold Gloves got it, but he's outside of the top 10, so that doesn't matter. So, Misty Griffin will be on 191 points. Harass will be on 180. Aussie Suspect will get 18 points, and that increases his total to 161. And Kickbutt Kiwi with 4 points increases it to 141. So, the gap between Misty Griffin and Harass 18 at the beginning of this stream was 34 points. It has closed to 11. And it's closed again between Suspect and Griffin. Suspect now closes to within 30 points from 46 at the beginning of this race. And Kickbutt Kiwi closes in by 2 points from 52 to now just 50. This may have proved to be quite the critical race in this championship. We'll see if we can't get the top 3 in here. Wow. Now, invite players. Dear me. All friends, yep. No. Yes. No. Have I got Aussie Suspect as a friend? I might not. Oh, there's an underscore in his name as well, I think. Is there an underscore? Yeah, give me a minute. No, there isn't an underscore. I didn't think there was. Do I have Saskas as a friend? Maybe, maybe not. No, I don't. So, Aussie Suspect. And we'll see if we can't get Saskas in as well. Mr. Suspect, good to see you in the party. And Harass has joined as well. Just to make sure before we start the interviews, gentlemen, that your audio is, in the party settings is on always allow. So if you go to party settings, allow your voice to be shared, it's on always allow. Just to make sure. Now, Soskas has got an underscore in his name, doesn't he? No. Right. I thought so. Right, we'll leave the lobby. We'll get into the nice showroom, so then we get all the pretty cars, all that stuff. Now, I'll just quickly ask for you two gentlemen, did Soskas finish third for you two?
Yeah, on my screen
I believe Nerva Knight finished there.
Right, so there will, during the stream there was a desync between some of you fellas and Soskas. That's all.
Oh.
On my screen he ended up finishing third. I'm not sure if that actually is the case, but hopefully he'll join, unless he doesn't have a mic, which is alright. But anyway, we'll start the interview, shall we? First of all, with the two gentlemen currently present, congratulations on your respective finishing positions. We'll start off with the race winner. Harass, I bet you've been waiting for me to say that. Race winner, Harass 18, congratulations mate, that was a masterclass at Japan. Please just take us through your race as a whole.
Yeah, thanks Meg. I knew I had to get off the line pretty good, which I did, and I just had to pace myself from there and not make any mistakes, and
Ras, where are you?
hopefully the guys.
Oh, you must have him muted, do you?
Oh, is he
Can you
talking?
hear me, Smith?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no,
Hopefully,
ruined
I
your
was hoping Big Buck Kiwi, he was catching me a few times, and I was just trying to pace myself and not make any mistakes, and
Yep.
I think he made a couple on his journey trying to catch me, and
Mm-hmm.
it gave me a bit of a breathing space to put a bit more pressure off,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I just crawled away a little bit. Then the safety car came out, and oh no. But then after that, yeah, it was just back to trying to clear the air
Yep.
between everybody and try and stay a couple of seconds or so in front of everyone.
Oh, you did absolutely superbly well. How difficult were the conditions out there on the racetrack?
She was pretty slippery, but I was braking because I use racing line. I was braking before the red arrows in the racing line.
Yep.
That's what made me go into corners better and stuff like that.
No,
But yeah, it was a good race. I quite like racing in the wet. But around Japan, it's pretty tricky.
Mm-hmm. No, you did really, really well. And as you said, that start really did set up that race for you. That was an excellent start off the line. And well done, mate. About time, really.
Yeah.
You were up for a few wins in a couple of races prior to this one. But, you know, that was an absolute masterclass, mate. Really, really well done today.
Yeah, I'm pretty good off my starts in every race, really. I think that was the main one. I had to get in the lead because it was raining. I didn't want to be held up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll do my own mistakes, let the car in front. So I just had to get in front to just pace myself and yeah, try and keep everyone behind.
No, did really, really well today. And 10th different winner in this championship. 10 different winners. That is absolutely amazing. And well done. And this is a massive boost to your title chances as well. You've closed the gap to 11 points now. So
I think there's four races remaining.
Yep, so the 4 Americas races and Abu Dhabi. So it's going to be a close championship fight. So good luck to you and your future races. But for now, very well done on a fantastic win.
Thanks, mate.
Now, Mr. P2, Aussie Suspect, an equally fantastic drive from you, mate. Just take us through your race as a whole around Suzuka.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do another one of those anytime soon, to be honest. I'm more the liking of fast, dry tracks.
Yep.
Where this was slow, wet tracks. So, obviously, yeah, weather becomes slippery. Obviously, can't go too fast. And the spray from the cars in front was absolutely incredible. So it was so hard to be able to see not only the car in front of you, but the braking points, the turning points, corners, etc., all that sort of stuff. So not being able to see any of that, it was so hard to be able to judge any sort of overtake on any car in front. Yeah, it was just chaotic. I'm absolutely surprised that I actually finished second today. I thought I would have been midfield to back today, but I'll take second any day.
Well, it was a good drive from you. You had that titanic battle with about, I think it might have been 3 or 4 other drivers for second place at one stage with Kickbutt Kiwi. I think Gold Gloves and Misty Griffin was involved in that. How did you negotiate these conditions here at Suzuka? Was it just really tentative stuff, sort of hanging on to the seat kind of driving, or?
Yeah, well, I knew if I started, like I've been doing plenty of time trials during the week,
Mhm.
and I knew that as soon as you start to drive the car, you're just going to be off. So I thought I've really just got to granny it and
Mhm.
just putt around and not try and push it too hard, because as soon as I try to push it too hard, I'll end up, being in the gutter or in the wall,
Yeah.
whatever. And I knew that a lot of people would push it too hard, so I thought if I could just keep it together, stay on the track, keep it in one piece, not get any penalties,
Mhm.
I would kind of rely on a lot of people doing the opposite, and
Yep.
I'd be able to sneak up a few positions. But I did get one 10-second penalty, which I'll be reporting, because that was a bit
Yep. Well, I was just about to ask. I noticed that 10-second time penalty. How did you get it?
So it was under the safety car, and I think it was the first or second lap the safety car was out, and it was as we were coming up to, I'm sure it was under safety car, unless I'm tripping, but it was coming up to that last chicane,
Mhm.
and as we're coming up to the chicane, the first right, I kind of just clipped the inside corner a bit too much.
Yep.
And it rewarded me with a 10-second penalty under a safety car. And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, it's
So
amazing.
I thought, oh, well, it's all recorded, I'll send it off, but there's everybody behind me sort of had the same penalties, if not more. So at the end of the day, it wasn't going to affect the position that I came. So I don't know. Now thinking about it, maybe I might not send it off because it's not going to affect anything. So, but it was a bit shit getting that 10-second penalty for what it was.
Yeah, it's typical Codemaster stuff. Really, it's astonishing. Really, some of the bugs in this game, and to get a 10-second penalty like that, just a little corner cut. Yeah.
Yeah, I could understand if I took the whole chicane like full throttle and just
Yeah, of course.
straight over the whole chicane. Cool, give me a 10-second penalty, but to be maybe a quarter of a car too much over the corner under safety car and give me 10 seconds.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty questionable. But as I said, Paras did a bloody awesome job. Finally gets his first win. Whether the 10-second penalty I received or didn't receive, it wouldn't affect anything. So massive congrats to him for finally getting his first win. I can't hear him. I don't know if he can hear me, but hopefully he can hear me. So big congrats to him.
Thank you. Thank you.
He said, "Thank you very much." He can hear you. It's just for some reason you can't hear him. So he's very appreciative of those words. And just
that's not a bad thing, not hearing him, to be honest.
I think I was one of the only ones that didn't get a penalty, Smeg.
Yeah, maybe Dan the Racer as well, I think. But there might be some question marks over what happened on that final lap. Watch the stream if you want to see what happened then. Oh boy, did something happen.
Yeah.
And speaking of something happening, did either of you see the incident between Gold Gloves and Misty Griffin?
No.
I didn't
see anything.
Right, because it is the strangest looking accident I have ever seen in my life. I was just kind of hoping that one of you two might have seen it and might provide a bit more input, but that's alright.
I think I was too far ahead to see what's going on behind me.
That's right. Yeah, you had something like a 5 or so second, no, it was even bigger than that margin back to P2. Then the safety car came out and that reset everything. But I think that just about wraps it up here at Japan. And what a race we have had at Japan. It has been absolutely amazing. This is probably the best Japanese Grand Prix I have ever witnessed in F1 2019. And it was in the wet. And typically when it rains, it just ruins the racing. It definitely didn't here. It was absolutely brilliant stuff to watch. And I hope you did as well. And if you really enjoyed this sort of stuff, please subscribe to the channel. to stay up to date with all the latest content coming out of this place. It is absolutely astonishing. But tune in next week. We are going to the Americas. We are going to the Mexican Grand Prix at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I have a particular soft spot for this circuit, for how much I hate it. I genuinely dislike Mexico.
Not the only one.
That third sector just gives me bloody nightmares. But we'll get to that next week. Until then, I've been the Smeg. Thank you all so much for watching. See you next week, and good night.
I have a question. How tall are you?